Philadelphia. Let's go down to the outskirts of Maryland, where I have former 7-year pro quarterback Glenn Foley. Glenn, we're going to, for the next half hour, 35, 40 minutes, we'll talk some NFL. Obviously, we're on the eve of the playoffs. And first of all, you got to give Roger Goodell and his team credit for completing the 256 game season. I mean, when this thing all started in September, do you think we're going to get 17 full weeks in, Glenn?
No, not if they bubble the guys. The NBA did a good job with the bubble, uh, but this is a raging virus, so it was going to get everybody, and it was only a matter of time. But the NFL did a tremendous job laying down the groundwork. I know my brother and the Panthers staff. Uh, they had one slip up after they were basically out. I think there's no excuse, but it took not only just a grind, but just imagine, you're 20 something, you're 23, 24, 21, and someone gives you $1 million and says go, and you can't go anywhere with it. For some guys, it's culture shock to get the money. Then it's double culture shock to not be able to spend the money. So it's really it's an American dream turned into an American nightmare where you can't really enjoy what you've accomplished. But they did a great job. So did the NCAA, the ACC, the SEC did a great job. When you put the politics into it, it morphed into this in the center part of the country and into the West, where all the blue states had issues with quarantines and having people go to games or whatever. But the ACC and the SEC managed to squeak out 11 games. They did a tremendous job, and it taught a lot of lessons. It taught a lot of lessons about life and how important football is and how important sports are in our everyday life.
Yeah, I mean, let me ask you a question. Obviously, you've been out of the league for some time now. How you think you would have been able to sit in hotel rooms and stuff like that? Obviously, you get to a city, you want to at least go out to dinner with your teammates, maybe the night before a game. I mean, how difficult for those type of guys you think were they just to sit in their rooms the night before a game?
It's it's not that hard when you're winning. It's not that hard when the checks are coming in. You're 8-0. You're getting your $200,000-300,000 per week, and you can kind of hang everything. All your spirits are up. What happens is it happened to the Panthers. You go, you come out, you win 4 games. You're looking at you're 4-11, and humans will be humans. They will err or sin, if you will, and they do. They're human beings. They're going to make mistakes, and no one's. This is culture shock, not just for the players, for the coaches, for the owners, for the world. So, I mean, our environment, the way, I studied this stuff. Believe it or not, I did study in college at Boston College. But society, we have this country has a heartbeat, and the heartbeat is outside the home. So the minute you disrupt that, you're going to get it. We've had a year of culture shock. The vaccines are coming out. I think it's going to take another 6 months to another year before everything's back to normal. And then if everything goes well with the Chinese and politicians, then we won't get another virus until another disruptor shows up. But no, I think we got another 6 months to a year before we see sports back like they used to. Unfortunately, politics got involved, and when that happens, everybody suffers.
Got a question from a good friend of mine, Lou Ferry. Said, "What about the camaraderie of playing card games and golf, and how that adds to the relationship of the players? They miss out on that. I mean, I know you're an avid golfer. I'm sure, especially in the off season, being a quarterback, you want to get on the same page as your guys. And like the question asked by Mr. Ferry was, that's the kind of stuff that builds camaraderie with your teammates."
Yeah, there's no doubt, but you can do that in quarantine because you're quarantined with the guys. I always said there was no reason, number one, for college students to go back to campus. However, this country we're built on certain parts of our culture where we need football, we need baseball, but just for the simple mental wellness of a lot of people. So people need an outlet. When 9/11 happened, when George Bush threw that first pitch out at the Yankees game, it brought the country back, believe it or not. And it happened to be a baseball game at the time. But when we go through things like this, you need sports. and sports are very important. It's not just for obvious reasons, but in times of tough, in times of desperation, people need an outlet to stop thinking about all the depressing things that are going on. And football was a great outlet. It's still going. It's still going.
It's funny. I wanted to jump right into Week 17, but obviously, I think before the Week 17 and Week 16, I mean that's the most important thing was being able to get these games. A couple games we had to play on Tuesdays and Wednesday nights and Wednesday afternoons, but they got it all done. So you have to, as much heat as Roger Goodell takes with certain things or whatever, you got to give him and his staff 1,000% credit for what he was able to commandeer and get through for the last 17 weeks.
So, he set rules. He set rules. And when you set rules, that's what our country, what our society is based upon. If you just follow the simple rules and don't break out, and don't break them, and don't break out, then everything will work. And for the most part, the NFL did a great job. Not just forget Roger Goodell. He's setting the rules. It takes disciplined teams. It's harder for a team in Atlanta or a team in New York to stay clean of COVID than it is a team from Green Bay or a team from an isolated part of the country where there's no international airports and there's no train systems and there's no major commerce. So the outbreaks are unnecessary, but again, this is one of the most contagious viruses in the history of mankind.
Okay, well let's get into some on the field doings. Yesterday was Week 17, and a lot went on. Everyone was fighting for playoff position. The playoffs are all set. We'll get into the games itself. I guess the main thing, everyone, because obviously it was the last game played. What happened last night down the street from where I'm sitting in Philadelphia, with what Doug Peterson may have done or haven't done, or how he manipulated the playoffs a little bit with the New York Giants not getting in, sticking in Nate Sudfeld, the third-string quarterback, down by 3 points, winnable game. Jalen Hurts, you want to see more of Hurts. Do the Eagles know if he's the quarterback or not? Playing against a good defense. Obviously, Twitter went crazy last night with putting in the great Nate Sudfeld in, and he threw a pick, couldn't find a snap, was getting sacked all over the place. What were your thoughts on the benching or the benching of Jalen Hurts to put Nate Sudfeld in to, I guess, catapult the Washington football team into the playoffs, and the New York Giants are going to be watching this weekend with the rest of us?
Doug Peterson's greatest coaching game since he's been there. By far. He finally did something that was absolutely phenomenal for the organization. They lost the game. Sudfeld had no chance. They should have put Sudfeld in when, it almost should have been, okay, first quarter Hurts, second quarter Sudfeld, he's got the rest of the game. This was a preseason game. The goal was not to win it. The Panthers were in the same spot. You win, you drop back 5, 6, 7, 8 spots in the draft, which is tragedy. Tragedy. Last year, we did the draft, and of course, I just went back on the draft that we did, and I was right on Herbert. You bet me that Jamal Adams wouldn't get traded. I called it at the draft. I called Cam Newton at the draft the minute Herbert got drafted.
And this week we're going to replay that show on these very stations. So wherever you're watching, we're going to replay the show because, we got a couple things wrong, but you were right on several things, and it's very hard to predict that stuff, especially back in April and May.
Did not love Tua, and we're finding out that he's a check down guy, and he's undersized with an arm that's just average. And then you watch someone like Herbert throw the ball. And I didn't like Burrow at number one. I liked Burrow as a quarterback, but I didn't like him as the number one pick.
Well, I think he proved that he's going to be a franchise guy there.
Oh, he's going to be a franchise guy if his other kneecap doesn't get ripped out.
Oh.
And so there's an art to not getting your knees ripped out. Herbert seems to have managed it where Burrow didn't. So Herbert's healthy. His arm's way better. He's way better off the pivot and the plant. So I was right. I hate to say it, but once again, I should be a general manager. You know what?
There's about 7 openings
to the Eagles. I'm going to offer for free. I will work for free for the Eagles, and I promise you, within 3 years, we'll win the Super Bowl.
Well, the thing is, there's about 7 openings, and all kinds of people. Actually, I'm just throwing this out there. I think the Carolina Panthers look for a GM. You may know some people there that might be able to get you an interview.
No, no one's going to hire me. I got my mouth is too big. But no billionaire or someone really rich wants to hear my voice or hear my opinion because I'm usually right, and they just want you to spend money or show somebody that they think they know what they're doing. Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie, I think they're lovers. I don't know why that Jeffrey wouldn't fire Howie. I don't care if he fires Howie. You don't have to fire Howie Roseman. I'm not out for Howie's job. Just put him as the assistant vice president to the president. You know what I mean? And then bring in another Joe Douglas.
Kind of like what the Phillies just did with Clintack. He's still in the organization.
I love Howie's calculator. I love his computer skills. I don't love Howie in the locker room sizing up jock straps and muscles and all that other stuff. Get Howie out of the player process and only on the calculator. Howie only knows. The only answer Howie Roseman knows comes out of a computer or a calculator. That's it. If it doesn't come out of a computer or calculator, Howie Roseman's useless.
On the same length here, the Eagles quarterback situation going. Well, first of all, let me just go back for a second. You mentioned it was like a preseason game. I never thought I'd be able to watch a preseason / playoff game in the same game. Because obviously the Redskins were trying to win to make the playoffs. The Eagles are treating it like a preseason game. It was one of the most bizarre things I've seen in the NFL.
It's hard to tank because you can't play the game half speed. But what you can do is play your healthy guys that are like third and fourth and fifth string guys.
Yeah.
That you know are going to get completely mauled. If you saw Chase Young, and we talked about this, my exact quote, I went over it because I thought you were going to have all the film ready, was the best player in the draft was Chase Young. The second best player was Derek Brown. And other than maybe, and I called for Justin Jefferson to be picked by the Eagles too. So if those things happen, the Eagles are in the playoffs. Okay, Chase Young is going to get Defensive Player of the Year, in my opinion. If not, he's definitely going to get Rookie Defensive Player of the Year. He may get Overall Defensive Player of the Year, although Aaron Donald had a pretty good year. There's some other guys out there, but my point being, he's that much of a monster. So, but the Eagles are in shambles. And here's how you get Howie. I call it getting Howie. We watched Jalen Hurts play after watching Carson Wentz play. Hurts is a better player, but we got Howie. What does that mean? We're stuck with a $100 million contract, and the guy who's making $2 million a year is better. So now what do you do? And now the question is, where I do give Howie credit is he paid Wentz almost nothing compared to what he was worth, and Wentz is now even talking about working with teams so he could cut down that salary, which is a big reason why I think he hasn't been so greatly successful. There's something about Wentz where he lacks a little bit of leadership skills, and he lacks a little bit of FU to not just his teammates, but to the world and to his organization, where when you're the quarterback of the NFL team, it's your team. It's not Howie's team. It's not Doug's team. It's not Jeffrey's team. But when you're the quarterback of an NFL football team, it's your team. Whether you're making $1 billion or you're obviously working for someone who's worth a lot more money than you. But when he comes onto the field, the owner comes onto the field, and you're in the huddle, you tell the owner, get out of the huddle. Get out of the huddle.
That segue into this question I have from Glenn Furman. I see. Glenn Furman, guy we grew up with. Do you think Hurts can ascend? I mean, he said specifically to the Wentz of 2017, or even more specifically, did you see enough of him to say he's the quarterback of the future? Can he be that guy, that MVP candidate that Wentz was? The best comparison to me to him is a guy like Dak Prescott, a guy who.
No, I disagree. Nope. Okay. What I witnessed over this short period of time. It's a short test.
We call it small sample size.
Small sample size. Jalen Hurts is a better quarterback than Carson Wentz. Hurts is better than Wentz. This is how you get Howie. Okay, we got Howie by having a starter that's got $100 million with the backup who is now a better player. So now you got But you got Howie because the contract he gave Wentz, it wasn't the most expensive. He's not getting paid Russell Wilson money. He's only guaranteed like 70 some million.
Yeah, there was like 32 a year. I think the
Right.
guys now are getting in the 40s
Right.
now.
So ultimately, Howie gets credit here because he's really dealable. Someone's going to scoop this. If it's not the Colts, it's going to be the Panthers or it's going to be the Patriots because the contract, and especially if Wentz is willing to work with you, he's dirt cheap. So there's going to be a gaggle of teams after this kid.
Well, specifically to answer his question, when Carson Wentz was heading toward and was going to be the MVP of the league, do you see Jalen Hurts being a quarterback that can, touch that, top 3, top 5, top 7 type of quarterback?
Yep. He's been trained properly. He's been trained that way. He can be MVP of the NFL. There's no question about it.
Wow.
It's not going to be right away.
It's a huge statement.
But it'll never happen if he doesn't get the tackles, if he doesn't get the leadership, if Chris Long or someone like him doesn't show up. You need corners. You need coaches. You need guys that are going to magically put things together. Right now, they don't have that. So if that doesn't show up, Hurts will never win anything. But Hurts has more ability or as much ability as Carson Wentz. So, yes, he can be an MVP.
It's a heavy statement. So before we get into the NFL, the playoff games this weekend, and we'll briefly touch on them at the end of the week, we'll come back on and, maybe really dive into them. Today is what's normally called Black Monday, where all the coaches get fired. A few of them got fired mid-season, the Falcons, the Texans, Detroit. So today, actually last night, it all started with the Jets, who you still have some intel into that building a little bit. The Chargers got rid of Anthony Lynn today, and as expected, the 1-15 Jacksonville Jaguars got rid of Doug Marrone today. I guess some of the hot names that we've been hearing is Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator for the Chiefs. Guys like Brian Dable, who's the offensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills, was Alabama, been a Parcells, a Belichick guy for a long time. Those are kind of the two hot names out there. I don't know if you have any other names out there that you may have heard of with some of these jobs, maybe specifically the Jets, because like I said before, you have some intel there, and maybe what the Johnsons may be looking for in a head coach.
Well, you got to understand now, everything's quarterback driven. The perfect fit in San Diego, I believe Harbaugh played in San Diego. I think the Chargers is a perfect fit for Jim Harbaugh. With that quarterback to me potentially has the ability to be one of the greats of all time.
Wow.
I think he went.
There were big statements today.
I was raving about him in the draft. When Tua got picked, I was screaming and yelling, no! But Herbert went right after him at 6. And then this was a question, because Lynn's a good coach. I wasn't sure that they were going to rid of him right away. But when they I think Herbert shocked everybody when he got on the field, because they call it playing fast. When you play fast in the NFL as a rookie, it's hard to do. It's hard to do. Tua played as fast as anybody, and he looks slow. Tua's going to be a lifetime backup, in my opinion. And I said it at draft day. I wouldn't have picked him. I would have picked Herbert instead, or I would have went with Derek Brown at the time. But no, the Chargers. I think the natural fit for the Chargers is Jim Harbaugh. If you want to think Jaguars and the second pick, and maybe you're talking quarterback now. So
well, they're picking Lawrence.
The Fields kid from Ohio State. I would never pick him, but Urban Meyer.
I thought about that.
Urban Meyer in Jacksonville. Okay, you could switch. You could swap the first 2 picks, and Urban Meyer. I think Urban Meyer is a better fit with Fields than having Urban Meyer with Lawrence. So there's a little finagling that can be done, but you cannot give up Trevor Lawrence as the first pick. So I'm assuming Jacksonville. They need a pro to coach the kid. He's been very well coached. The kid is groomed, a quarterback. They say since Andrew Luck, and Peyton Manning is the greatest pocket passer I've ever seen in college, maybe next to myself. But
gotta put yourself over, man.
But I'm 6 feet tall. No, I don't think he even came close to my stats. But no, I'm just kidding. But no, Peyton Manning was unbelievably accurate in terms and just and knowledgeable in terms of the game when he was in college. So this kid Lawrence is dynamic and is smart, and he runs better than Manning will ever run. So he brings that to him.
Let me just interrupt you here. Like, so we just got another question from Lou Ferry. It's kind of in the same thing. We're talking about Lawrence is going one, so let's not even that's a done deal. I mean, Goodell could make the pick right now.
Yep.
Is Darnold the guy for the Jets?
Yes. I'm not selling out. I'm not going down the road on Darnold. Darnold's good enough to play in the NFL. He's a Trent Dilfer type. He won't screw it up. Don't ask him to throw for 500 yards a game. Don't ask him to be Tom Brady. Don't ask him to be Peyton Manning. But he's not a dumb kid. He's smart enough to be the starter and to be a Super Bowl champion. To be honest with you, yes. But keep putting the pieces around him. They picked a big offensive lineman last year. Go offensive lineman again. They got a good wide receiver out of Baylor and Mims. And the Jets, they got to work on defense, obviously, which a lot of people do. So if I'm the Jets, I'm thinking either offensive line again, or defensive line, or corner, which is always where you're looking.
Well, just from reading the Todd McShays and Kuipers and those kind of guys of the world, you're looking. You mentioned those positions. Penei Sewell of Oregon, who they say is one of the best offensive linemen to come out in a long time. Yep. He's been projected as a number 2. So you imagine with Becton and Sewell's bookend tackles for the next 10 years, you're set there. And then you have guys like wide receiver Devontae Smith. I don't know if that's too high for him to go at number 2. There's the linebacker Micah Parsons at Penn State.
The Jets are primed, and Joe Douglas is so smart. He's been one of the greats. He won. He basically him and Reich and those guys won the Super Bowl for Philadelphia. If I know him, he's going to trade it back. He'll just grab. He'll have 20 draft picks by the time the draft is over. And you'll see the Jets.
Well, they have three? They 2 or 3 number ones this year.
It's an incredible amount of draft picks that he's accumulated.
So they got the number 1 for Adams. I know that.
We haven't even gotten towards draft time yet. But when we put all the numbers together, the Jets, the Dolphins moved up and took the Texans pick. So the Dolphins have the 3rd pick again. So the Dolphins are going to go. They're either going to go offensive line, which would be genius, or they'll just load up more on their defense. Their defense is already stone cold killers. So the Dolphins, the AFC East is going to be a beast with the Patriots being in dead last for years to come.
All right, so let's just go forward a little bit. We'll just touch on some of these playoff games before we let everyone go here. I know there's a lot, especially now with all the gambling going on. These are all the early lines. The Bills laying 6.5 to the Colts. Break it down. What do you think? Josh Allen obviously had the playoff experience last year. Didn't play great in that game against the Texans. They were up big. He blew, Deshaun Watson made some magic happen. Now playing against the old man, Philip Rivers, your guy, Frank Reich, who I know you have a very soft spot in your heart for. You've told me a lot of times off camera that he's a guy who really took you under his wing, as when you were a young player in the league. Colts have a pretty good running game, good defense, very good offensive line. But right now, the Bills are like America's darlings now. They're the flavor of the month in the NFL.
Not flavor of the month. They're straight up.
No, they're a good team, but I think a lot of people are now they're jumping on that Bills bandwagon.
Yeah, the game's in Buffalo, so this is going to be very difficult. However, I think the spread's too high. I love the Bills. The Bills are going to be very hard to beat. As we go, I'm going to keep picking them because I think it's going to be Bills Seahawks final. But everyone's picking Chiefs and other teams. But I think this Bills team is that good. Josh Allen's progress from just a year ago has been phenomenal.
It's been incredible.
I'm talking about mechanics in the pocket. I'm talking about accuracy in the pocket. I'm talking about the ability to move, know when to go, know when to throw, and Stephon Diggs is just an amazing athlete. So I love the Bills here. I just don't know that they cover this spread. Frank Reich worries me. He worries me a lot. This reeks of a last possession game. If I had to bet this game, I'm taking the Colts with the points.
Okay.
Absolutely. But I love the Bills to win the game. I just don't love them. This will not be a blowout like they've been blowing people out. The Colts are too good. They're too sound. They're too well coached. Philip Rivers, as old as he is, he knows where to go with the ball right away. So I'm not worried. I'm not giving that many points to a veteran quarterback and a coach who knows what he's doing.
But I believe this will be Philip Rivers' swan song on Saturday. Because I think after the game he will. I think he's got some TV opportunities waiting for him. So I think
Is that the rumors are Philip Rivers is going to go, which absolutely paves the way for Wentz to just move right in there.
okay,
And if you do the numbers, Irsay was talking about giving Andrew Luck $500 million when he left. So what's $75 million for Wentz? It's a stone cold dead case over. Wentz is a cold, and believe it or not, when he walks out the door and he goes into the woods, he'll feel at home in Indianapolis.
yeah.
With his axe and his blue bull.
The next game, this is great. Saturday. I mean, guys like me and you. I mean, it's going to be. I hope we don't balloon to like 300 pounds. Triple headers both Saturday and Sunday from 1 o'clock, 4:30, 8 o'clock. It's a playoff football. The game 2, I believe, on Saturday, the Seahawks with our man Russell Wilson take on the Rams. Do we know the status of Jared Goff or?
It doesn't matter. Rams lock of the year. Put it down.
Wow.
Lock it up. Over. So, Jamal Adams is on defense and Russell Wilson.
You mean Seattle? You mean like Seattle?
So, Seahawks. Take the Seahawks here and run with it. This might be the lock of the week.
And if anyone has any predictions,
they may be. Goff's got a busted thumb. The thumb on the throwing hand is the most important finger, other than maybe the pinky. But the index finger is arguable too. But if you don't have your thumb, you're a monkey. You know what I mean? You're like, you can't grip the ball. So take the Seahawks here. Bet your ranch, bet your mortgage, bet your car, bet your children on the Seahawks. The Seahawks win this game like 31-10.
Yeah, well, you said that, but I don't want them coming after me if they take your advice. So
yeah, take the Seahawks. I'm just telling you, they have two of the best players in the league on both sides of the ball. Jamal Adams has like 10 sacks as a safety. It just doesn't happen.
That is an incredible stat.
It's an incredible stat.
It's unbelievable. They made the schedule yesterday, so before they knew who won the NFL East, it was just Brady was prime time Saturday night. It was Bucks versus either the Giants or the Washington football team. I love how the league did that. They made sure Brady was the prime time game on Saturday night. Right now, laying 8.5 at Washington.
Wow. Oh, jeez. Tough game. I think they cover that, but it's going to be it could be like a 20 to 12 game, something like that. So I'm thinking an under game, because that's what Chase Young's doing is not human. He's going to kill Tom Brady at some point.
It's a pretty fascinating matchup. Brady against that front four, which is terrific that Washington puts out there.
Let me tell you something. Chase Young will crush Tom Brady multiple. Tom Brady doesn't run. Chase Young will get home. He will get home multiple times, and Tom Brady will feel it. I love the Bucks.
So you think Washington's in the game? It's a low-scoring game kind of thing.
There's no way the Bucks blow them out. The defense of Washington's too damn good. They're not just a little bit good. They're dynamic. Their pass rush is out of control. So Brady's going to get killed in the game. He's going to get mauled. They'll probably win it, and it may be a field goal. This may be a field goal game, so they could win 9-0. It wouldn't surprise me.
Well, and Mike Evans is. It's amazing. Mike Evans. He's day to day, so we don't. He hurt his leg yesterday. Well, isn't it amazing? Our boy and Mike Mayock's favorite wide receiver, Antonio Brown, is. He had a big day yesterday. He's starting to come on. He's starting to feel his legs out there. So Brady.
It's a genius pickup. It's a genius pickup. Antonio Brown to be able to hang out with Tom Brady at his house and all. Oh, by the way, everyone seems to have forgotten that Antonio Brown was the best wide receiver in the league a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, here he comes. He's back in the playoff. And Gronk's healthy, and so is Brady. The Bucks will win the game. It's just not going to be as easy as people think. The Redskins are going to be throwing bombs at them. Defensively, Chase Young does not mess around. Chase Young's a scary dude. You don't want to run into Chase Young when he's motivated and healthy because he's going to bring the wood. You're going to have to double team him, chip him, try to break his ribs with the running backs. But he's going to crush Brady.
Let me ask you a question. Obviously, the statue that you were back in the pocket. I mean, do you have nightmares about a guy like that before the game?
Well, the thing is, what you learn from college to pro is in pros, these lunatics are going full speed to a disciplined spot. So if any one of your guys messes up, your kneecap gets broke out, or your shoulders get ripped apart, or your arms get your ribs, everything gets completely torn apart. So it's almost like dealing with mindless lunatics that are just trying to kill you on every single play. So they don't even have any. It's not even like there's any plan except go and kill. There's nothing personal about it.
No, it's business. I mean, Chase Young is being paid a lot of money to hurt quarterbacks.
To get from point A to point B, if Tom Brady happens to be throwing the ball in the process, his arm gets ripped out of his socket. It's part of the deal. And if he gets 15 yards for it, so be it. You think the guy from Clemson cared that he crowned Fields with his skull piece and knocked his ribs and kidney in the next week? He completely killed the guy with his crown shot to the rib cage. I mean, these guys know how to hurt at full speed. So,
good guy, Kenny Ludwig picking Buffalo, Seattle, and Tampa Bay to win on Saturday. Let's take a quick look in the Sunday, the revenge game. The Ravens laying 3.5 at the Titans. You know what? Just look at this line. The Titans beat the Ravens last year. They seem to have had that blueprint. They kept Lamar Jackson in the pocket, tried to make him beat him from the pocket last year in that playoff game. Yet the Ravens are a 3.5-point favorite in Nashville.
Yeah, I like the Titans here because you have a Belichick. You have a Belichick disciple,
Mike Vrabel.
Yeah, Vrabel's down there coaching, so he's gonna make Lamar throw from the pocket. He's praying to God it rains and it's 35 degrees down there.
And then he's gonna run that 265-pound running back down their throat again.
Yeah, that's okay, but they can. They're gonna pound the run.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean with Tennessee. They're gonna. Derrick Henry only ran for 250,000 yards yesterday. So.
Right, but what I'm saying is, in terms of their defensively, this is where the Titans get you because it's a Belichick scheme, and they're gonna. What they do is they discipline. They're disciplined in their gap control and everything they do gap wise, and they're gonna pound and make sure that Lamar doesn't get loose and they can't run the ball. And they're gonna be playing cover 1 and cover 3 and saying, Lamar, go ahead. He's wide open. Go ahead and throw it. We dare you. And if there's any bad weather, Lamar's mechanics are so bad, his knee locks up and he can't, and the ball goes into the ground. It's just part of having bad mechanics. So who knows the middle. This is where Lamar struggles. This is where these quarterbacks who can't throw from the pocket or have bad mechanics, they struggle. They're struggling games when it's 30 degrees, 40 degrees, rain, grass field, whatever it might be, and you need to be deadly accurate in the wind and the rain and the snow, and it's not that easy.
The middle game on Sunday is the Chicago Bears traveling down to New Orleans to take on Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints. The Saints an early 8.5-point favorite. I think this is a no-brainer. I think the Saints are going to roll the Bears on Sunday.
Kamara's out. Is Kamara back?
Well, yeah, we'll see. I mean, if Kamara's out, then
we got. If the Kamara's out, the Bears are the pick with that many points. If Kamara's in, then I wouldn't touch the game. But yeah, Kamara's the X factor. I mean, he not just so much running, but and in the red zone where he's deadly in the red zone. But he's one of the best receivers they got.
He's played better lately, but can you trust Mitchell Trubisky in this spot on Sunday?
I don't mind. Listen, all these quarterbacks that get brought up, they're the first round picks. They're picking them because they're cheap. Number one, number two, you can't expect them to just come out and be, you can't. Not everyone's Justin Herbert. You're not going to hit on the fifth pick. 2 is a bust. Okay,
you can call him a bust after he was 6-3 as a starter. I mean,
yeah,
with no wide receivers, he's thrown to Mac Hollins made their biggest catch of the year.
What was their defense? How'd their defense do?
The defense was pretty good.
No, the defense was great.
It was pretty.
The defense was great.
Yeah, but you still got to do enough to score some points.
Tua was over 13 on third down the other day. It was ridiculous. I was like,
I'm not ready. I'm not ready to call him a bust though yet. I'm not ready to call him a bust yet.
I'm telling you, he's a bust. He's a career backup. End of story. If he does succeed and win a Super Bowl, it's because the defense got better and he's able to manage the game. I could manage the game. You know, you give me Reggie White or you give me the Chicago '85 defense, I could have won the Super Bowl. That's what's going to happen. That's how Trent Dilfer won the Super Bowl. He didn't go down. He didn't throw for 500 yards. Defense.
We just got another question from Lou Ferry about Michael Thomas. I believe Michael Thomas is now coming back on Sunday for Drew Brees, so he'll have another toy to play with on Sunday. So I think they're going to absolutely blow out the Bears on Sunday.
It depends how effective he is. He's a critical part of it.
He's their only wide receiver. You can count me Emmanuel Sanders to a point.
No, they have weapons, and I just love the coach. I mean, I just think
he's a great coach.
I think Peyton's a top 3 coach in the NFL. You could put Mike Tomlin up there. You could put obviously Belichick up there, but I like Sean Payton as good as anybody. Payton, I love Tomlin. If I could hire anybody right now as my first coach, I'd hire Mike Tomlin just because of the atmosphere he brings. But Belichick's old in the way, but Mike Tomlin's probably your best coach. But Sean Payton is the most underrated coach in all of football.
He's a great coach.
Go nuts every week. He's got good defense. He picks the draft right. He doesn't miss. It's nice to have a 40-year-old quarterback that doesn't miss.
I wouldn't be surprised if Breeze is going after this. I wouldn't be surprised if Peyton leaves as well. Maybe they go out together.
Yeah, I think you'll see Sean Payton and Bill Belichick leaving. Maybe hand in step. But two of the great guys to watch coach over the years, and I'll tell you what, guys that and Peyton matured into like the silent assassin. I was like, wait a minute, who's this guy? Every game they just win. He figured out a way to win, even when Taysom Hill couldn't throw the ball into the lake from standing on the beach. he still won. He had to play a bad Denver team, but he still won in the worst football game I ever saw. But guess what? The object isn't to play pretty. The object is to win, and Sean Payton knows how to do that.
Finally, the last game Sunday night, the Steelers and Browns.
This is another one. Yeah, this is Steelers going to smash these kids. Between the Steelers and what was the game we were just talking about? The
Ravens and Titans or Saints Bears.
Yeah, you could tease that those two games. This is another one.
We're showing and by the way, we're showing some highlights they played yesterday. Obviously, teams very familiar with each other. So I think we may have lost. Did we lose Glenn? I think we lost Glenn. I don't know where Glenn went. See if we'll get him back in a few minutes or a few seconds. Let me. Don't know what happened to him. But yeah, the Steelers and Browns. It's a Sunday night game, and let's see. I'm trying to ping Glenn back in here. If not, I'll make the pick for him. I'm going to pick the Pittsburgh Steelers to win the game on Sunday night. I don't think the Browns are ready for prime time yet. Kenny Ludwig says his best bet is the Cleveland Browns. His iPad died, so we'll just finish this up and wrap it up here. And I just want to thank everyone for being with the show tonight on Monday. We're going to do some more shows later this week, so keep an eye out to my social media pages, and we're going to talk some more football throughout the week, talk the playoffs, make predictions, and maybe give out a couple prizes. So thank you for tuning in, and we will talk